Welcome back to another Jackrabbit Illustrated podcast, brought to you by our title sponsor, the Kubota dealers of South Dakota. Whether it's tractors, mowers, utility vehicles, construction, or farm equipment, Kubota's got you covered. Now with 9 locations across the state of South Dakota, there's always a dealer nearby. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Jackrabbit podcasts are also sponsored by Culver's of Brookings in Watertown, the home of the Butterburger, Jackrabbit Central, the best place to get your Jacks gear, and the best sports bar in South Dakota, Cubby Sports Bar and Grill. Without further ado, here is the A-Team.
We're live now. Thanks for bearing with us during some technical issues. This would be our first live stream. I don't think anybody. We're not getting any output. We're not getting anything on the speaker back there. Testing. There we go.
Can you hear us?
You can hear us? Okay. I can hear us now.
I can hear us.
Yeah. Rolling on one.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into our live stream podcast. Partner technical difficulties, first rodeo with this, and organizing this from 1,000 miles away makes things a bit difficult. But thank you all for joining us today. What we do want to bring in, before we get started, our very special guest from out back. Our special guest! You look fantastic. I didn't give him any of the context you wanted.
Oh, good. That's great. I was just wondering why we're in a weird hot dog house.
That's awesome. For shooting for.
That's great.
We want everybody to have no idea what's going on.
Awesome.
So after the show, be sure to ask Ben about his wiener, is what we're saying. So that's what we need you to do. Everybody. Everybody.
If you watched the show before, you understand why this happened. Ben's bad at picking football games, so he gets to wear a wiener costume.
Yeah.
So, yeah, here.
Might have to sit by the speaker to hear, unfortunately. That's all we got for audio.
It was just working.
Now I hear it now.
Now I hear it now.
Well,
We're back.
We're back?
Bada-bada-bee, ba-ba-bada-bo. Ba-ba-bada-bo. Can you guys hear my bad? I'm a scat man.
Again, this
here we go.
one speaker.
Anyways.
So, first off, we got to thank the Kubota dealers of South Dakota for being a sponsor all year long. John Collins, you're here somewhere. John's here somewhere. But thank you, John. Kubota dealers of South Dakota for sponsoring our show all year long, our title sponsor. If you need a tractor, a mower, a skid steer, something like that for your yard or acreage, talk to John. He'll hook you up. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Absolutely.
All right. So,
first guest?
First guest?
Yeah. Let's bring on Mr. Zack McKinnel. Coach Fred, where are you, boys?
Zack McKinnel and Coach Fred. Where'd they
It
go?
took off on us. We've gone forever.
Oh, there's Zack.
There they are. Sports Illustrated, fame, FCS Central. Mr. Zack McKinnel, if you've watched our show, this man knows all the ins and outs of the FCS world.
Appreciate y'all having us, man. I wish it was a little bit warmer. I know it's not cold for y'all, but I know he's from Florida. I'm from Bama. It's freezing up here.
This is a heat wave, right, folks?
No, definitely not a heat wave.
So, I can hear. So, Zach, when you're looking at this game, we've got everybody. There's a lot of talk, and we're not going to bring you on here to massage our shoulders. We're all pretty aware how good the Jacks are, right? So, but the one that keeps getting brought up is the athleticism of our cornerbacks versus the wideouts for Montana, or pretty much anybody we play. There might be somebody in the audience somewhere here, even at this point, who says this repeatedly. What's your thoughts on that?
I've told Joel, I think I think Deshaun Gales is probably the most underrated corner in the country. I look at him. He was an All-American for our publication. No touchdowns allowed. Only 38 targets this year, and he can shut down the side of the field. And then you got Beano, 4 interceptions, 7 pass breakups this year, and you got Tucker Large in the back end. And I just think the secondary is underrated. There's a reason they have not allowed teams to throw all over them. And maybe they're not flashy, they're not the 4-3 guys, but I think because you guys play such a team defense, everyone gets overshadowed. But Deshaun Gales is, in my opinion, arguably one of the best corners in the country.
Yeah, I mean, he gives you all the numbers and names. The thing that's most impressive about them in the back end is that they have played a lot of games that were blowout games, which means the teams try to catch up by throwing the ball. And you're being tested. And to be as good as they've been all year long is really impressive.
Hey, first we got to say, Coach Fred, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Again, been really excited about being here. Thank you guys for bringing me on.
Coach Fred, wide receivers coach at Alcorn State.
Yes.
And the only coach I know of that's on an active podcast like this, that while coaching, covering the whole
I would say the only
subdivision.
coach active media. I like using that. Might not be true, but I throw it out there.
So, Coach Fred, when you look at this matchup here, what do you see as the most important matchup from a coaching perspective, or possibly wide receiving coach perspective?
It's like we talked about on our show with the number 5 from the other team. Can they get him off in different spots other than kick return, punt return type stuff? Can they figure out ways to get him involved, whether it be outside, put him in the slot, that kind of thing? But the most impressive, most important matchup is up front. That's going to help the guys out in the back. If they don't have to go blitz heavy to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands for Montana, then, I think this could be something that gets out of hand really, really, really quick.
Yeah. Would you like to ask him about his wiener?
No, but hey, Coach Fred, who do you think, when you look at our offense, who do you key in on as the best, maybe the guy that you'd have to stop the most? Do we go with the pass game and Mark Gronowski? Do you go with the run game? What would be how you would attack the Jacks?
For me, I would junk it up. I would try to put the ball in the quarterback's hands as much as possible through the air, because that run game gets going. It's going to be a long day. Junk it up. The 3-3-5, you got to move different people. I think you've got to keep them off balance. But I would make it an air game. I think that gives them the better shot rather than sitting there and, 5 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards. And then next thing you know, you're down 2 scores and you've only had the ball once, that kind of thing. So I would junk it up front if I'm them, blitz heavy, and see if you guys really want to throw the ball as much as people say, you want to throw the ball.
Thank you. That's good answer. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teams have tried that to stack the box, and Gronowski's just done an amazing job this year of finding open receivers. I guess, what do you think about the Yankees and the Hines and I guess the receiving threats that we have?
Oh well, I'm a big fan of the Twins.
Yeah.
And then the tight end situation is a nightmare matchup on any level. FCS, FBS, when you've got 6-7 out there that can, be effective in your run game and your pass game. I think he is an undervalued asset for the offense. But, the Twins, consistent, quarterback consistent. The running back that he absolutely loves brings a completely different dimension to what that offense can be. And if they're clicking, pick your poison.
Also, I appreciate you for taking me seriously while I'm wearing this.
I didn't know. I heard about his wiener. I heard this was coming, but I didn't know it was actually going to come.
Oh yeah, it's happening.
So the big question is, would you kick to Junior Bergen?
No. And as I told him, Tony Dungy tells a story when they played Chicago with Devin Hester, and he's like, we're going to set the tone the first kickoff. We're going to let them know we mean business. And they kick it off, and Devin Hester, 100 yards later, they're down, and Tony's like, hey, we're not doing that no more. Why even play with it? So I wouldn't even test it, but, to each his own, but I'm not testing that one. No sense in giving them a false hope.
Sure.
So you have a wide receiver award that you give out every week. You give out the gloves. Which I remember you gave it to one of the Yankees. Which Yankee did you give it to, and what game was it after? Because I forget now off the top of my head.
That was
Jaden, right?
Jaden,
I
and
think
that
it was
was
Jaden.
Early in the.
It was his 168, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he went crazy that week.
I don't know who y'all played though. We'll have to go back and look.
We're gonna have to go back in the archives. Who's the stats guy out there in the back?
The fly zone.
Yeah, I know Sam Herder probably knows the stats.
168 for 2 touchdowns for Jane Yankee. Which game?
One of the Yankees.
Nothing. We got nothing. Nobody's helpful.
You don't have it online either. Yeah, man, just move the mic switch.
All right, so final question. What was your prediction for the folks that didn't listen? What was your prediction for this one, guys?
I didn't give an actual score. I just said by 14.
Sure.
Yeah, by 14. It won't be 14-0, but by 14.
And I was a little bit harder on Montana. I said 38-14. I don't think this game really truly is a good matchup for them. And if Clifton McDowell doesn't play at a Walter Payton level and Junior Bergen doesn't return 3 kicks, I just don't see Montana having much of a chance.
Hey, let's give it up for Zach and Coach Fred. These guys.
All right, we'll be moving on. We'll be moving on to our next desk here. Who we got on tap next, Matt?
Matt Zimmer, are you in the house? Matt Zimmer. We haven't seen him yet, so he might be sleeping still.
He might be. He thumbed up that we'd have the reserve table up front. We'll go with our next guest, Tanner Castora. Tanner, Rhea, I know you're here. I've talked to you. We hung out a little bit when you were here.
Where'd they go?
We do Mike.
Well, let's bring Mike on.
Mike! Mr. College football to himself. If you've got Twitter, if you're paying any attention, Mike's got it locked down. He's a pretty much infamous. People are stealing his bit with the obstructed views. He's been to over 90 college football games this year, including our semifinal against Albany. You were there for that. He was at our Montana State semifinal the year before. He's been all over the country. And I know, talking with you, one of your favorite games you've ever been to was what?
It was last year, Montana State game. -6 degrees, coldest sporting event in the history of South Dakota. For a guy who lives in California to go out there and be in the elements, I always get a press pass, but I hate being in the press box. I call it jail, basically. So if you're a fan, you want to be out there in the elements. You guys destroyed Montana State. It was a revenge game the year before, lost at Bozeman in the semifinals. So one of my favorite games ever. I should mention that I also went to the Delaware semifinal in the spring of 2020. So with me at DJD, you guys are 3-0 in all semifinal games. So I'm looking for season tickets. I'm available if somebody wants to bestow them on me. But happy to be here. Really glad. And you guys have a tremendous team. The offensive line and the tight ends, we call them the all-airport team. When you see them at the airport, scary and impressive. So it's going to be a great game here on Sunday.
Hey, Mike, why don't you tell people a little bit about your calendar?
All right, so I go to stadiums and I find bad seats. And you guys might have seen these on social media. They're called obstructed view alerts. Essentially, they have seats that only show like 10 or 15% of the field, and some of them sell them. So what I do on social, what's that? James Madison. Yeah, there's a James Madison one. So
We don't need hecklers.
Are there
Well,
any at
he's
Danny
trying
J.
to-
Dyke House?
the JMU sports information director would not approve my media credential because he knew I was going to call out their seat. So essentially, I don't know if you could see it, but the press box blocks about 60% of the field. They sell these seats. And so what I try to do is on social media, tell fans to not buy these seats. There's enough of them that they ended up being in a calendar. I was supposed to have these shipped when I came for the Frisco Scooter Bowl on the 19th. They arrived late, so I just grabbed them now. I have 20 on my person. You could go on social media and get them, but these things are funny because I go to stadiums, I take what I consider good stadium photos, but people, when they see a guy looking at a wall, they think it's hilarious. So that's what an obstructed view alert is.
Why don't you tell people like that don't know you what you do and like just how many games you go to?
So I started traveling to games in 2017. I have seen a game at every FBS stadium, 133. Did that in 5 years. Working on the FCS now, so I've seen 78 out of 128 FCS schools. That's 211 out of 261 Division I schools. I think that I could do 17 per year for the next 3 years, and in a 10-year period, be the only person to have seen a game at every Division I school doing a 10-year period. And then this year, we're setting a world record. I've been to 88 games this year. We're going to the FCS Championship tomorrow, which will be number 89. And I don't have a ticket yet for the FBS Championship because they're about $1,000 plus. But I'm going to figure out a way. If I got to dress as a custodian, a janitor, whatever, I will work my way in.
Yeah,
Hot dog suit. I mean, I will wear whatever it takes.
We'll just paint Nathan's on the side of it.
Nathan.
Awesome. So, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Man, so you see, first of all, I don't want to, no drama. I'm picking South Dakota State. To see Montana barely squeeze by two teams, and two good teams, but a Furman team that I think overperformed in Missoula, and then an unranked North Dakota State who went through the bracket and did well versus what you guys have done in the playoffs. I saw Albany at Idaho give them a hell of a game. Poffenbarger looked really good in Moscow, and he couldn't even get away from the line of scrimmage in that game. And it was 59-0. It could have been worse. And so, you know, there are times in sports where it's obvious what's going to happen. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself and think that a team is untouchable, but you guys have done it the right way. You've built it up. And I mean, all signs are pointing towards a convincing Jackrabbit victory.
All right. Let's hear from Mike.
What's going on? Coming up on the field, unprompted.
Thank you.
Not planned.
I tell you what, this is a lot easier when everybody's numbers on the screen for viewers instead of everybody watching us.
All right. And
Hey, Marty Pierce, your pizza's ready.
next up, we have Tanner Castora joining us. And,
What up, Tanner?
and,
He is.
You guys all know him?
You know him. You love him.
and while Tanner makes his way up here, for those of you that don't know us, we are Jackrabbit Illustrated. I'm Matt, Brendan, Ben, Chad, and our colleagues Alex and Dallas are back home. So there's 6 of us that run this. We are selling T-shirts and vehicle flags up at the front table here. So if you'd like a Jackrabbit Illustrated T-shirt or a Jackrabbit Illustrated vehicle flag, let us know.
Also, I'd like to shout out Thomas Dunn over here running the stream and the audio. So thanks, Thomas Dunn. And thanks for the Busch Light Cooler, Anheuser-Busch of Texas.
All right, so Tanner Castor is with us right now. You know Tanner. You love him for his stories that connect you to the players outside of the game. Tanner, how the heck you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Honored to be on the show and happy to be here in Frisco. What's the story behind this hot dog costume? I've never heard.
It's more fun when you don't know.
Okay.
Just
You want to tell him the story?
Tell the story.
Tell them the story about your wiener.
I'm not gonna do that. But I lost the picks between Brendan and I. We pick every game against the spread.
Yeah.
I lost. Brendan went a little overboard with the punishment this year. He better hope he never loses again. Otherwise, it's going to be really bad next year.
I like it though.
it seems like an appropriate punishment, right? Like for
Sure.
fantasy football leagues and stuff.
Yeah.
Like this seems in line with that.
It's doable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little humiliating, but not too over the edge.
And this hot
stand naked on a street corner or anything.
Right. Exactly.
and this hot dog costume can be found at fun.com.
So Tanner, so you spend a lot of time around the team.
Yeah.
How are they feeling on their second consecutive run back here? Some of them it's been their third. How are they doing?
Honestly, talking with some of the guys, they've told me it's a weird feeling for mostly the older guys because they've spent over, some of them, half a decade in this program, and this is it. It's different from last year where there was questions if some of them wanted to come back, and now for plenty of them, they know that this is the last game. And talking to them, they kind of had a little bit of, obviously great excitement, but a little bit of sadness, kind of all mixed into one ball. And it's kind of cool because how many times in your life, I've mentioned this before in a podcast, how many times in your life do you know that something is happening for the last time, whether it's with your job or even any kind of relationship? When do you know the last day is coming? Well, they know that this is it. And so it was interesting talking to them throughout the last couple of weeks where it's kind of bittersweet for some of them.
So Tanner, you jumped in right away when you came to South Dakota, and you really dove in to SDSU and covering the Jacks more than a lot of media had in the past on the TV side. What was it about SDSU and the football program and everything else that made you drawn to that and felt that was a really important story to be told?
To tell you the truth, my sports director at the time was Sean Bauer, and he said he had taken over. It was his first year when I got there as well, and he said, we're going to do something different. He said, we're going to have assignments. He said, I'm going to cover USD because he was a USD grad. He said, he'll cover USD. He said, I want you to cover SDSU. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, I'm really going to put everything I have into this then. He said, okay. And he gave me the green light. And as soon as I got there, I had researched the program a little bit before moving here. But, to tell you the truth, I enjoyed being around the program so much. It was the way that I was treated. I'm talking from the equipment guys to the coaches. So much. It was the way that I was treated. I turned that down from the equipment guys to the coaches. Well, I'm glad that they heard that because
Welcome to the rodeo, folks, huh?
But I'm glad that they heard that because welcome to the rodeo, folks.
Okay.
Want me to go try it?
All right. There it is. There it is. Okay. We'll hear it in about 5 seconds, this conversation. It's going to be great. You're all going to love it. We'll hear it in about 5 seconds. You're all going to love it.
Just ask a question and wait 5 seconds.
Just ask a question, keep going, and we just pretend
I
we don't
think
hear that.
for me, it was my first job out of college, and I have goals and aspirations myself. You want me to just keep going?
Yeah. It's too much. Gotta go down.
Sorry while we
We'll get this sorted out. People just hang in there.
as we all know, it's kind of hard to talk while you're hearing yourself in the background.
I could do it if we need to.
As we all know, it's kind of hard to talk while you're hearing yourself in the background. He's probably already turned it.
Give it a go.
Go ahead and go. Maybe tilt the mic.
I'm not
up
hearing.
just a little
I'm not
bit.
hearing
Talk
chatting.
over it a bit.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a good environment for me to be in. If I'm I have goals and aspirations myself, and to be around a group of guys who were also striving for something, I just enjoyed being there. And the way that they treated me, it made it that much better. And so I enjoyed getting to know them as people because they did likewise with me. So it was good all around. And I saw that this program was striving for this, and I was just glad to be able to tell some of these stories.
So Tanner, what do you see as keys to the game tomorrow?
I've looked at it a couple different ways, and I think the way that you have to answer that question is we know this team well. If you're a coach, how would you try and beat South Dakota State? Well, you can only move the ball two ways on offense. You can pass it or you can throw it, right? And if you're Montana, this is tough to talk with these things. We'll get this done, but this is tough. But if you're Montana, obviously you've got to stop the run, right? So you stack the box, you get them into passing situations. But then I still believe you've got to bring fire and pressure. You have to speed Mark up. And I think that's the case with any job. When you're rushed, that's when you make mistakes. They've got to try and force South Dakota State into some mistakes. Now, that might result in some 40 and 50-yard plays. They have to be okay with that, and they have to find ways to hold the Jacks to field goals. But they've got to take chances. They have got to put their cornerbacks on islands, hope that they can make a play, and win the line of scrimmage. And if that means putting more guys at the line of scrimmage than South Dakota State has, that's what they have to do. They have got to get them into passing situations and then make Mark uncomfortable and rushed, because if they just – I think that's their only hope, is to kind of try and create havoc, because South Dakota State has been so sound all season long. You've got to try and do something that is unorthodox, and if you're bringing pressure consistently, mixed in here and there, you got to try and create turnovers, and that's what I think they'll aim to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, they're going to have to bring a lot of pressure. The one thing that I think Lujan does such a good job of is adapting his game plan. And, I think I could see them having some success early with that. But I think as we go on into the game, I think he'll really, change it up. And, I think we'll have a lot of success in the second half. I could see them sticking around in the first half a little bit, but I think we take off in the second half.
I could as well.
All right, Tanner, the question we've asked every guest today. Prediction.
I think it will be close for about a quarter and a half. There's too much energy around this game, and I think Montana will come to play. They've got swagger of their own. I do think towards the end of the second quarter, there's a break in the dam, and I think either it's a long pass or a long run. Jacks will take the lead into the third quarter, and I think from there they coast. I think South Dakota State wins this one by a final of 34-13.
34-13. There we go. Go Jacks. Thank you, Tanner.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for putting up with it. Who's next, Brendan?
All right. Next up, Mr. Matthew Zimmer. He's here.
Here?
Is Matt Zimmer in the building? Matt Zimmer, come on stage.
Page him like it's a school auditorium.
And while Matt Zimmer makes his way to the stage,
Can I sit here?
Yeah.
Just talk straight in the mic in the court. If you don't know Matt Zimmer, you don't follow SCSU football. So come on, let's give him a hand.
All right, and Matt Zimmer is sponsored by Jackrabbit Central right now. So Jackrabbit Central, the student union store, downtown store, online, and the stadium store. So thank you for Jackrabbit Central for supporting us all season long.
What do I get out of that?
I'll buy you a beer.
So, how much fun is this with that?
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes.
I was telling everybody I came here last year on Friday night around, 6 o'clock. And it was, there were a few dozen people here. I walked up to the bar, sat down, had a beer, like you were at Shenanigans in Sioux Falls or something. And within a couple hours, it was like this. And it was like that all night. Came back Saturday, walked in. It was already like this times two. Turned around and left. Like, too bad. I guess I missed out. And then so we came back last night, and we're like, well, what time do you think we need to get there? And I was like, it probably isn't going to pick up till late. We can show up at 7. We'll be fine. We walked in at 7, and it was already, line out the door. All of Jackrabbit Nation here. I probably should have known better. I'm sure it'll be like that. And then, I was asking you guys, well, is anyone going to be here during the day?
Couple people.
I just parked in the grass out there somewhere. So that
Give yourself a round of applause, Jackrabbit Nation.
Yeah.
To piggy off that, Matt, you were there for the semifinal game, right?
Uh-huh.
And you felt the energy in the stands,
Yeah.
right? And it was unique for that stadium. Do you think Jackrabbit Nation can bring that same energy tomorrow?
Well, we saw him do it last year. We even kind of saw it in the spring national championship. People forget we were still kind of social distancing back then. I think they only allowed half capacity, but everyone was blown away kind of by the turnout in the spring. People coming down for that. Rain, poured rain all morning. I walked to the stadium that morning kind of wondering, well, what are you going to walk into? Same party you'd always see, just with some umbrellas. I did a few shots on the way into work, which I'm not supposed to do, but didn't have much of a choice from the number of Jacks fans that kind of tackled me and threw them in my face. And it'll be like that again. I think last year was maybe a little bit the test, so to speak, because it was at DSU, and we had always heard, oh, it's Fargo South. We own Frisco. We're going to take over. And obviously there was a good turnout of Bison fans too, but it was at best 50-50. Some people thought it was more blue than green. And, now this year, obviously I think it's cool that Montana's the team that's coming. We got another team with a great fan base that we know there's going to be a big turnout, but you see what we got here. And I drove down and, every 5 miles on the drive, there was a car with a Jackrabbit logo in the window. It's been all around town. We went to the Big Shields the other day. You go out to eat. There's Jackrabbit fans everywhere, and this town has kind of caught on, picked up on it. Seems like they were maybe a little more ready for us this time than they were last year.
What do you think the split will be tomorrow for a crowd?
What do you guys think? I
think 60-40.
I think so too. That's kind of going to be my guess. Montana, obviously, they had 26,000 fans at their semifinal game, but they didn't know they were going to be here. This is a little bit of an upset for them to be here. At least it didn't become maybe on the radar till halfway through the season. Jacks fans have been planning this since last year. Once all those seniors announced they were coming back, it was kind of like, all right, it's probably safe to buy our tickets. So I think that gives them a little bit of an edge. I'm with you. I kind of think maybe 60-40 in blue.
Matt, so if you don't know, Matt Zimmer has a wildly successful podcast called Nobody's Listening Anyways, and it's pretty funny. His co-host is John Gaskins, who's a giant Cornhusker fan. And so
What's a Cornhusker reference?
just all right. So John brings up a Cornhusker reference every single game or every single episode, as Chad said. We have an idea for you.
Okay.
Every time he brings it up, no matter where it's at in the episode, you have to finish your drink. And get another one when he brings it up again.
And then he has to pay for it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So tune into that podcast if you're not already. It's a great one.
We could be talking about the Miami Heat, and he'd be like, this reminds me of Tom Osborne. 98.
I don't want to bring the Huskers into this, but
yeah. But here I'm going to do it. Yeah. And go for 10 minutes. Yeah.
So Matt, we asked Tanner. You're around the team quite a bit too. You go to the practices. You talk to the coaches. What's the mood like? How's everyone doing? How are they feeling? And what are they expecting out of this one?
Very confident, very businesslike. And I got that sense last year too. But last year I think there was a little bit more of a. I'm not saying they're not hungry this year. They are, but last year they hadn't done it yet. There was very much this sense of there's one goal left that we haven't accomplished yet, and we're very determined and on task to do that. And they did it. And now this year coming back, one thing I've asked them a lot is there pressure? Having the target on your back. You don't really get to play that no one believes in us card. Everyone believes in you. Everyone's expecting you to do it. But then does that create pressure? Is it a different sort of mentality? And the answers have been very consistent. From coaches to players, no, there's not pressure because no one would ever put more pressure on us than we do ourselves. But also, everyone here has been a part of this already. Obviously, the transition from Stig to Jimmy, changes things a little bit. But if anything, it's just narrowed the focus, because Jimmy is so kind of cuts through everything and no frills. Like, here's what we got to do. I know, saying things like, business-like approach, and it comes off a little cliched, but I think it illustrates what's been the difference between this team, the last 2 years of this team, and previous years where they would go, say, 9-2 or 8-3 instead of being able to run the table. Is they're just so focused. They know exactly what they need to do, and they do it. It just sort of almost makes them letdown proof. And I think that's the biggest reason. I'm not saying, obviously, that there's no way they can lose the game on Sunday. Montana's a good football team. But it's just, there's no reason to be worried that they're not going to be ready to play, or they're going to come out and lay an egg, or the moment's going to be too big for them, the environment, distractions. There aren't going to be any distractions. They're going to be ready to go.
All right.
Great.
All right, Matt, what's your prediction then?
34-14, Jacks.
34-14 Jacks. Let's go. All right. Thank you very much, Matt Zimmer. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Hold on, Matt. What are you drinking when everybody's bringing you beers today?
Any Anheuser-Busch product is accepted.
Terrific. You heard it here first. Any Anheuser-Busch product.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks.
And for our next guest, we're going to welcome up FCS Nation Radio, Mr. Kevin Marshall, and everybody's favorite, the Jackrabbits at secondary is not athletic enough. I'm going to wear Brendan's wife comfy. It's Mr. Stone Labanowitz.
All right, Stone, let's hear it. Let's see you say this live in front of all these fans.
I got clapped for.
First of all, Kevin, what are you drinking? What are you drinking?
Let's give credit where credit's due to this bunch right here.
Kevin, that looks like a whiskey with a splash of Coke.
There is very little splash.
Give it up to the local for making hot drinks. Heck yeah.
Not kidding, man. This is full of hot. And it's nice to see your wiener down there.
Is that mic working?
Is that mic out?
Jim, did you?
Pass the other mic down there.
Yeah, you can do so.
We just pass it back and forth.
Did you lose all your mics?
Can anybody hear what we're saying?
Say that again for the people in the back.
Say hello to everyone's wiener right there.
It's not necessary.
Just take it around front. I know, man.
Just the tip.
So you guys have been pretty busy down here already. I've seen your social media stuff. You've been on doing Alex's lemonade stand work, right? Talk a little bit about that for those that aren't familiar.
You got to fight through it.
Go, you got to fight through it.
Well, what we did with Chris Schenkel from the Sioux Falls office of Northwestern Mutual is through FCS football players, 3 of them Jackrabbits, we raised $45,000 through Alex's lemonade stand to end childhood cancer. And I've been proud of a lot of things in my life, but nothing has made me more proud than that. This subdivision, these fans, thank you very, very much to everybody who donated 1 nickel. Thank you.
What was it? Was it strategy to have South Dakota State have 3 players?
I mean, yes. Yes. Big fan base. They care. Big hearts. That was a no-brainer.
So what do you guys have going on today here? You guys have some stuff going on, right?
Yeah, Alex's Lemonade Stand, Chris Schenkel, and there are plenty of athletes from all over the country. One that you guys know oh so well, Matthew Saluka, will be here. Aiden Bauman will be here. There are things that we have lined up. You guys can donate. There are plenty of ways, and we'll break that down further. You can pie these players in the face. You can pie Brendan in the face. You can pie Ben in the face, Chad, Kevin. Please, Kevin. Jim Poppin says he's willing to take as many pies as possible, but just continuing to raise money for childhood cancer through Alex's Lemonade Stand and whatnot. We have so much going on. When you guys get off the air, 4:30 activities. It'll be on this stage. It'll be down here. A whole bunch going on.
I like how you
got these guys on air, because if they say no, they're for kids with cancer. So I like your style. That was well done.
That's exactly how you draw it up. There are plenty of people here who are willing to be pied and that they want to pie, so we're going to do it all for childhood cancer.
And Ben's sitting here over like, I didn't agree on this. And I'm like, you volunteered.
Oh, you 4 kids?
Because Stone is so popular with the
Kids
Jack fans.
want to hear it on the mic.
There should be at least $1,000 to pie Stone Lebanowitz in the face.
I agree. I would pay a lot of money to punch Stone in the face, I think.
I mean,
I think a lot of Jacks fans would.
We've been here for like 5 minutes, and we have not said the words Italian nachos yet, which is important.
Yes.
I think it's a good time to bring up the sponsor, Matt.
Yeah. Next, we'd now like to thank our sponsor, Cubbies. Okay. We'd like to thank Cubbies Sports Bar and Grill Brookings for being a sponsor of the show this year. Thank you, Cubbies, for all your support, for jumping on the bandwagon with this, and making sure that it gets noticed, bringing back the Italian nachos. Thank you, Cubbies.
And thanks to everybody that helped us bring back Italian nachos. I'm sure there's some people out there that retweeted that and raised some money for childhood cancer, and a little more, maybe more importantly, bring back Italian nachos.
I mean, when you're talking about these nachos, Ben, I don't imagine that you get that look on your face when you're talking about your children. I mean, you got this look on your face. It's like, Italian nachos.
They're so good.
It's so good.
All right.
My kid made the honor roll. That's nothing. Italian nachos, man.
So for those that haven't checked out the show yet, for you guys, walk us through a little bit. Stone, you have this is a little tighter matchup. Kevin, I think you see it. SDSU coming out a little bigger. What do we need to look for tomorrow?
It's interesting, actually. I do have this with a tighter matchup. I think South Dakota State goes for this game 28-21. I think it's the low-scoring first half. I think you guys know why I'm going 28-21. But seriously, I think both of these defenses are going to be stout. Both of these teams are excited. They've had so much time to prepare. I don't think we're going to see as many offensive fireworks as a lot of Jack fans expect.
And I disagree with Stone on this. I think y'all go through them like Sherman went through Georgia, myself. I really, really do. I think 38-21, and maybe that 21 comes late to make it look better than it is. Kurt Littkus, a good listener of y'all's and a good friend of mine, son played on the offensive line. He's been right all playoffs. He kept picking 42-6, 42-6, and he hasn't been wrong. I think 38-21, and it's a laugher.
Awesome. Hey, let's hear it for Kevin and Stone, everyone. Both have the Jacks on top.
Thanks, y'all. Thank you very much.
Godfather. Hey, thanks for coming on.
All right, so there goes our friends Kevin and Stone.
You gotta go say hey.
And next up is Sam Herder, who hates our team.
Sam Herder does hate our team. This guy's gonna predict that, you know.
Sam getting booed over Stone. What is this?
Yeah, Sam doesn't actually hate our team. Sam doesn't actually hate our team. Sam loves the Jacks.
That's a running bit.
Yeah. Kyler's still coming up, so save your booze.
And your batteries.
Hey, when Kyler Neal gets up here, everybody got the batteries and tomatoes in the basket at the front, right? Be sure to grab some. Sam, thanks for joining us. Hero Sports. I don't know why I thought that changed. My brain's not working now all of a sudden. I was up all night.
That's all right.
What have you been to Montana bars versus SDSU bars yet?
I have not been to a Montana bar just yet, but later on today is when we're heading there, I think. So
I mean, I understand why would you, but
yeah, I mean, you got to go by the seed order, right? South Dakota State first, and then Montana second. That's my rationale behind it.
So,
You got a question?
So Sam, yesterday you tweeted some interesting news about the location for future national championships. I'll walk everyone through that in case they haven't seen it yet. Is it going to be in Frisco for a few more years, or what can we look forward to?
So it'll be in Frisco for a few more years, yeah. Frisco has the game contracts through the 2026 season, It was extended back in 2019, and it wasn't open for a bid. They basically just gave it to Frisco. This next go around, they are going to open it for a bid. I was told that there's a few cities interested in hosting this game. Again, this is way down the road. I tried to get who are those cities, but didn't get an answer on that because it's still way early in the process. But it'll be in Frisco for a few more years, and then honestly, it's going to be hard for another city to beat Frisco for a bid because Frisco's going to put in another bid to host this game. So I think it'll stick around here for quite a bit longer.
So they're not sick of us yet.
No, I mean, this is a $16 million economic boost for the town. So that probably goes hand in hand with other cities wanting to host it. I can see like a Birmingham or a city like that. Like, I don't think Orlando, Las Vegas is going to be interested in this game because those are almost too big of cities. But Frisco, no doubt, does a good job embracing this game.
So specifically, because I always see it come up a lot, not in our fan base, but across the FCS, the fan favorite is trying to say Vegas. Can you specifically address why that's not going to happen?
Well, there's 20,000 people to 30,000 people that could probably potentially go to this game, and Vegas is interested in hosting events that's going to get 60,000 people there. So, plus you get lost in the shuffle. I mean, when South Dakota State players got to the hotel, Montana players got to the hotel, I mean, they were greeted with signs and employees and cheering. You have bars like this, opening stuff up for fans and putting South Dakota State flag. You probably won't get that in Vegas. And so is Vegas interested? Probably not. If they were interested, do you really want it in Vegas? I mean, I would say yeah, but at the same time, you might not get some of the stuff you get in Frisco.
Speaking of Vegas, where should people go to bet? Aren't you sponsored by your employer's a Vegas-based outfit, right?
Yeah, so BetMGM, they're actually based out of Jersey.
Oh, are they?
Jersey City, but where it's legal to do so, BetMGM, they got the app there. So 13.5 still for this game, South Dakota State's favorite.
So 13.5, if you believe it's going to be more than that, hammer that over.
Yeah, well, and what's interesting, too, is Montana, so they have Montana Sports Bet is what it's called. They're down to South Dakota State 10.5, which makes sense because all the Montana fans are putting money on that side, so they had to lower the line a little bit.
If you had to bet on the game, which way would you go? If people haven't read your article on Hero Sports yet.
Well, I have South Dakota State 34-17, so that's obviously South Dakota State covering the spread. I've noticed a lot of bettors follow my predictions to put bets in, and I caution them not to do that because I don't know what the spreads are when I make the prediction because they don't come out until too late. So I just throw a score out there, and people will be like, "Oh, you're 0-5 against the spread." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 4-1 in prediction that they're right winners. I don't care about the spread too much."
So, what do you think Montana has to do to win this game? What is their path to victory?
Well, you gotta muck it up defensively if you're Montana. I mean, blitzing, putting South Dakota State way out of sync. And you saw like Montana State did that. Villanova did that for a little bit. Villanova and Montana are somewhat similar in how they blitz. So that could be a factor. I think offensively, it's going to be the quarterback run game. I think Clifton McDowell hasn't really showed off his legs the last 2 games, but I think he's much better than what he showed, and I think there's going to be some quarterback science. 3 wide receiver sets, spread the defense out, try to get something going with the quarterback run game because Eli Gilman's been bottled up. I think he's really good, but he's been bottled up, and it's hard to see him springing loose too often in this game. I think it's going to have to come from the quarterback.
So you're a playoff Zay lover. I've seen, you mentioned him a lot. What do you think he does tomorrow?
Well, I think he'll go over 100 yards. I think what I found is South Dakota State has heard the word playoff Zay a lot because when I was in Brookings after in the semifinals, I mentioned playoff Zay to Jimmy Rogers, and he kind of like scoffed. I'm like, oh, he's probably gotten this question quite a bit. So I think he'll go off. It's his last game for South Dakota State. Is he going to run for 250 yards and go wild? Probably not, but 120 yards. And Amar Johnson, he seems like he plays his best in big games. He went for 100 yards last year, so I think Amar Johnson will be a factor in this one as well.
We don't know why Jimmy doesn't like the playoff Zay thing. We think it fits. I don't know. It fits. It works.
Because he's a defensive guy. He doesn't like those offensive guys getting all the credit.
All right, so we asked Coach Fred this question. Would you kick to Junior Bergen?
Well, kickoff, no, but that's easier to not kick to someone. Kickoff, punting is hard. You can angle it, and you can obviously have your front coverage, angling toward that sideline. If you punt it out of bounds, you kind of run the risk of shaking it a little too much, where you try to punt 40 yards out of bounds instead it's 20 yards out of bounds. So I think they'll punt to him. He'll get his touches, but hang time, getting it to the sideline is key. And Furman did an awful job, but even that one return against NDSU, the Bison did the right thing by angling it, and he just got to the opposite sideline. So I think they'll punt to him, but if you punt to him in the middle of the field, that's not a good idea. You're going to have to angle it to the sideline.
So I keep hearing this narrative of, will you punt to Junior Bergen? Would you punt to Tucker Large? Because statistically, he has better statistics.
Well, I tweeted that out a couple of weeks ago, and South Dakota State fans were like, "Oh, be quiet! Don't let them know that." And it's like, well, Bobby Houck's one of the best special teams minds. Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't see my tweet and be like, "Oh, we better look into this guy." Like, they're gonna have a plan for Tucker Large. Again, they'll punt to him because it's kind of like a prideful thing. Like, we're not going to avoid this guy. Our guys are better than their guys. To me, that's a bold strategy on both sides. I think you got to angle it to the sideline with Tucker Large as well.
All right, Sam. So what's your prediction? I forget what you had.
I had it 34-17 South Dakota State. So.
Hey, there we go, Sam. All right. Thank you, Sam Herder. You don't hate our team.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Everybody cheer for us.
All right. Next up.
All right, the next one's up. From the FFN, the FCS Fans Nation network that we're a part of on YouTube, Mr. Jamie Williams, the Stats Top 25 voter, and Matthew Frazee, who's wearing the sneaky green and yellow. You're together. You're joined at the hip. You're kind of the same people. Oh, my gosh. Look at them come. Here they come, Miss America. And also, this is a perfect opportunity to mention Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. They're our favorite sponsor. I probably shouldn't do my normal thing that I say about Culver's, so go get some Scoopy tokens. We won't talk about Burgling Kurtz. That'll upset people. So, oops, did it.
Matt is strategically wearing a green and gold.
Yeah, I noticed the outfit there, Matt.
Here. I just put on gear from FCS Fans Nation. I just pulled one out today.
What a quinky dink.
Random colors right here.
Yeah, I can't. I believe it. There's no way that was on purpose at all. I don't blame you. So, I haven't heard your podcast this morning. I heard Kyler was himself.
Yeah.
We actually have a special surprise for Kyler when he comes up here.
Can't wait. It's going to be beautiful.
But for you guys, you two, the brains of the operation, how do you guys see this game turning out? Or not don't give a prediction, but ebb and flow, what does each team have to do?
Yeah, I think Montana's probably going to try to come out hot, hard, heavy. And I do think Montana's going to score first, but that might be it. Because I think once the Jacks get rolling downhill, the run game will start grinding them down, and I think that's what's going to see as we get to the second half. I'm kind of looking for Davis and Amar Johnson to just really take over the game. And if you watch the NDSU-Montana game, they kind of were blocking out up the middle. So Isaiah Davis might not be the guy. We might be looking at a repeat of last year where Amar Johnson was the guy because he's the guy that gets to the outside and busts those big runs. So I would look for a big game for Amar Johnson tomorrow.
I mean, I think you've heard everything from the analysis of the whole game, and things are getting a little repetitive, and understandably so. But I just think the first 8 minutes are going to tell you a lot about the game. It's just if that ends up where Montana maybe takes a punt for 40 yards, and it's not a touchdown, but it's a nice return, and the field possession kind of benefits Montana a little bit, or maybe it's 3-0 after 8 minutes, we might be in for more of a ball game. So I think if SDSU gets out to that hot start, unlike a Montana State or an SIU style game, it could get ugly. But I think those first 8 minutes are going to determine a lot. That's kind of where my mindset is right now.
Matt, Jamie, I know you're awful proud of Rainbow Row and what you guys do. Maybe tell the crowd just a little bit about yourselves, what you guys do, what you promote. I know Jamie's a James Madison fan, but he's still an FCS guy and a quality top 25 voter. So go ahead and tell us about that.
Yeah, with FCS Fans Nation, I mean, it's a Facebook, Twitter, YouTube page, and combined between all of them, it's about 32,000 people who are just FCS fans and are big fans of this level of competition. I mean, that's really what matters. And you can see the folks from Eastern Washington to Weber State to Idaho to NDSU like myself. It's just about fans coming down and enjoying a good trip and the best playoff format in college football. So it's bigger than just one team, and we always get together and have a good time. So and I think that you guys have thrown a heck of a party, and that this is unreal. I mean, it's so cool what you guys have put together.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it's basically about promoting the FCS at the level. It's just good football. It's fun football. And, I mean, my team went up to the FBS, and here I am for the second year as an FBS team because it's fun. I enjoy being with friends, enjoy being with the fans, and it's just an awesome experience.
And the FCS, we have Sam Herders and Craig Haley's, and you've got your GOATs out there, but the national media doesn't give us the attention or care about us. So it takes great, talented people like yourself to step up and build something. And, I mean, I just think that's the best part about it. What you guys have is just so cool. I sit there at the table. It's not like I was ever a part of anything you guys have done, but I'm like a proud father. I'm like, these guys are so good at this. It's so much fun. So it's cool to watch.
Prediction, in case they missed it this morning, what do you guys have for your predictions?
I had a much more low-scoring game than the rest of the group. I had the Jacks 27, Montana 10. I think Montana scores first and then not much else, and the Jacks take care of business for their back-to-back titles.
You Jacks are a nervous bunch of people. You are way too nervous about things, way too much. And maybe that's because of the history of things and stuff. This is the 2013-2018 NDSU Bison season. I said it from January of 2023. SDSU was going undefeated. The only team that was stopping them was SDSU. Put it in, put the hammer in, use the nail, whatever the saying is. SDSU is winning this game, and it is a coronation tomorrow. And all 126 other FCS teams, I'm not even sure why you showed up this year. Destiny season for the Jackrabbits. Congratulations to everyone in Brookings.
By the way, that far, Mike's good. So
He's even got himself a Jack's hat, ladies and gentlemen. Where did that come from?
And shout out to Seth Meyer. I've been asking for Jackrabbit gear for 2 years because it's not UND gear because UND sucks. And somebody got me some. Seth Meyer, I appreciate you, my man, and good luck to the Jacks tomorrow.
Hey, how's that go? It's Sue sucks. What? And that other mic by you works.
I'll keep it PG for the kids.
All right.
For the kids. What a guy. You're a trooper. You're a better man than I am. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming out. We appreciate having you.
Hey, guys, just want to let y'all know real quick. I'm the guy that voted for Mark Gronowski #1 for the Peyton Award. Pay attention tonight.
Hey! Yes. All right. I believe they're still in the audience. He tried to blend in today with a blue flannel shirt, but he's got a bright red hat on his stupid face. Kyler Neal of FCS Fans Nation. We all love to hate him if you've watched him. Who this fan? And you love him. He's the man in the rabbit costume from last year. The Rev.
You guys each get your own mic. So.
Now,
that
you're up here, before you get started, you're going to want to have that beer. There's a certain Mrs. Gronowski in the audience that has a special present for you.
That beautiful lady.
And I have a bet that I have to pay off. And she's going to deliver it for us.
It's disgusting.
It's Malort time.
As bad as it sounds.
Oh, may the Lord be with you.
Man, I should have ate
May
some.
the Lord be with you and also with you.
Oh, God. So for those of you that don't know, this is Malort. It's a Chicago delicacy. It basically tastes like pine needles strained through a sweat.
Tyler is worse than some of the girls you dated in college.
I'm going to compromise position
Oh,
here.
Oh, look at that face.
I love you. Oh, it gets worse.
It does get worse.
Get better for a while.
So, Tyler, tell us a little bit about how that made your mouth feel.
I've been worse things in my mouth.
Hey, Ben, I have a present for you. What's that? So because you were so atrociously bad at your bets this year, I thought you needed a trophy. And so I brought you a bronze toilet.
Nice.
So how many games now? How many national championships have you guys been to?
Yeah, I've been everywhere. I've been listening to this. The one that matters.
You're not the cover
Am I allowed?
Yeah, let's do it.
I might have to, send a little screenshot later.
This is the wrong kind of bar for that guy. There is no pause.
That'll be later.
So, Rob, for those that aren't on social media, is the rabbit making a return tomorrow?
It's coming back. Last year, my dad and I this year, the guy was saying, I'm not saying your dad, but
He's that guy! He's that guy! He's that guy! He's that guy!
So Tyler, why don't you address
Well, because people in South Dakota, they get 5-second clips. And that's all you guys can listen to. No, so for the past 3 years, Matthew Frazee has said, and he's the biggest fan, that Mark Gronowski is the greatest quarterback to have ever played the game. So that's where it came from. I think he's fantastic.
I said he's going to win a Walter Payton, but I'm not putting up with Steve McNair, some of these other greats. So
that's where it is. So yeah, he's not that guy. He's not that guy, but he is a dude. There you go. Oh, I'm a bigger SDSU fan than most people here today.
Oh, wow.
All right, so we've asked everyone, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
I honestly think you guys can do whatever you want to the Grizz. I think the Grizz suck. I think their offense sucks. I think their defense is decent. But, yeah, you guys are too good, so whatever you want. I don't care. What do you guys want to win by? 38-10, 38-10?
1 million.
I think they will score 10, but then you guys can score whatever you want. Yeah, you're way better. Yeah.
He's still kissing ass.
Buttering y'all up. It's going to get worse.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming on up. Appreciate you all.
Love you.
Here, one more time for him.
So I've got another hour.
All right. And so the big thing now, thank you everyone for being here, for putting up with our technical issues. Tomorrow, tailgating from 8 a.m. to 12:30. We have food, we have drink. We hope you join us. We'll be on the southeast corner of the stadium. Ben's been working hard on it and may have some more details.
Yeah, come thirsty, come hungry, come early. I will say bring extra beer just in case. We do have a lot of beer, but I know how thirsty we are. Just ask the local. So bring some extra beer just in case we run out, but we do have a lot. So come enjoy it. It's all free. Thanks to all of our amazing sponsors that have contributed to this tailgate. We couldn't do it without you. A lot of them are here today, but I don't know, Matt, are you going to go ahead and read those off?
While Matt cues that up, I'd just like to say thanks for everyone being here. The tailgate's going to be perfect. It's going to be just a swan song. We couldn't be more excited to have you folks there, and everybody get that.
Yeah, so our sponsors, our major sponsors, Cubbies, Kubota Dealers of South Dakota, Boyce Law Firm, Holsworth Farms, Blue Tide Car Wash, DeBoer Construction, the Kelton family, Blue Grader Farms, Josiah's Coffee House, Mensch Greenhouse, Creekside Meats, Jan Bussey Ford, Beal Distributing, Northwestern Mutual, S&L Painting, Bowen and Associates, Dakota Butcher, Lang Accounting and CFO Services, The Dunn Family, King Egg, Hub City Farms of Vermillion, South Dakota, Mike Schaefer's College Football Prospects, and Brookings Family Dentistry. Thank you to our sponsors for making tomorrow's tailgate possible. Let's hear it for them. And with that, let's wrap it up how we always do. Go big, go blue,
go Jacks!